What's up YouTube, this is Fate, bringing you another Death Battle wishlist video. Now I figured since the last wishlist took a little bit longer to come out compared to the first two videos, I figured it was only right to bring this video out a little bit more quickly. And considering how I'm actually getting a wealth of different battle ideas from friends, coworkers, and other people alike, don't be surprised if you start seeing these wishlists come out a little bit more quickly, because with all the ideas that are coming in, we've got a lot of material to work with, and I am more than happy to share it with everybody here. But of course, for the first part of these matches, I'm only going to do 4 per video, 4 new battles anyway. So without further ado, let's get to the list. But of course, before we get to the actual list, I would like to still point out my disclaimer that I like to do for all of these wish lists. Knowing that all of the pictures used in these presentations are not owned by me, the use of these pictures are only being used for this non-profit fan video and belong to all of their respective owners. Please support the official releases from the owners, because without them, I would not be able to use awesome pictures like these for these awesome wish lists. And without further ado, let's get to our first matchup, and this one was hinted in my last video. In this one, to lead things off, we have ESDA from Akame Ga Kill versus Toshiro Hitsugaya from Bleach. And considering how both of these are swordsmen / ice experts, it would be a real treat to see this hero and enemy from their respective universes go against each other in battle. And considering how, I grant somebody's going to mention how Toshiro's Bankai would just obliterate Esdef and her ice abilities, don't forget that in her universe, Esdef does have the ability to stop time whenever she wants as a trump card. And I believe an ability like that, kind of like how Aizen's manipulation against Toshiro would cancel out his Bankai power, leaving his defenses completely exposed. And with that in mind, these two would make a very awesome matchup. And who wouldn't want to see these ice wielders go at it? Come on. Let's give love and support for this matchup. And considering how this isn't even the marquee matchup for this video, don't worry, I've got something a lot better planned ahead. But first, let's get to our second matchup. And why not have a battle between two Dracula killing experts in Simon Belmont from Castlevania versus Van Helsing. Not only are both of these guys mortal, they have an array of tools to combat demons and vampires and werewolves and whoever they seem to face on their own spare time. But what would happen if they both end up meeting each other in the castle and a misunderstanding happens and these two decide to fight against each other? Who has the better equipment? Who has the most vitality to beat the other and go and face Dracula himself? It would be a very interesting matchup to see these two go at it, using their normal equipment that they would normally use to fight all the demons. And it would just be a very interesting outcome to see who exactly would come out on top. Now, leading on to the third matchup of this video, I'd like to present Skeletor versus Mumra. And the inspiration for this matchup? Well, we had the heroes of both these universes already duke it out in Lion-O and He-Man. And considering these two are very similar as far as how they can beef each other up, as well as magical abilities, blah blah blah, why not have the villains take their shots at each other and see who is the supreme villain between these two genres? Is it the He-Man universe going for the clean sweep with Skeletor? Or does Lion-O in fact have the better villain in Mumra? Who's to say? That's for Wisdom Boomstick to decide, and I can't wait to see what the results will be. Now, before we get to this video's marquee matchup, I always like to point out from my prior videos marquee matchup as well. Last video being Spike Spiegel versus Malcolm from Firefly. And I would still love to see these two guys go up against each other with their own raid tag space crews. Just both of them not being liked by so much law enforcement, both of them having their own reasons for fighting. And it would be an interesting matchup to see how these two guys, also mortal mind you, how they would use their own unique fighting styles to try to take each other out. And it would just be a really cool fight between two legendary anime slash sci-fi characters. And before we get to the marquee matchup, I always have the list of characters that also deserve a death battle in the future. Now for these characters, I've been unable to come up with good matchups at this time. And for the most part, this list will remain unchanged, but I will switch out at least 2 names every single time, just to give some food for thought for the future. And of course, at the top of the list, we still have Gordon Freeman from Half-Life, the survivalist himself. Kirito from Sword Art Online. Guaranteed this is going to get some mixed batch opinions on how many people like Kirito and how many want to see him die. But at the same time, I would like to see how both candidates really react to him either winning or dying in the comments after he does get his fight, because that alone would be entertaining. Then of course, Taki's from Soul Calibur and her unique skill set. Wesker from Resident Evil, because that is one nasty Resident Evil enemy. I'm just going to keep him on this list for a while until I find something better. Noriko from Heavenly Sword, again, a very overlooked character, female character as well, that can put together a lot of fighting victories, even in just her universe. And I wish I could say I could pair up with the guy from God of War, but sadly, he already fought Spawn, and he already lost to Spawn. That's why I'm not even saying his name, because he lost way too many cool points. I'm sorry, Kratos, that's how it is. Of course, we've got Saitama from the One Punch Man himself. I originally wanted to put him on this list against Superman. I might do that next list. But considering the better fights that I want to debut for this marquee matchup, he still remains on this deserves death battle wish list for the time being. Or maybe there's another fighter out there that would be better suited for him. Not likely, but we'll see. Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he's a really cool enemy. Jean Grey for X-Men, really overpowered with her Phoenix form. I'd like to see who would try to take her on. Broly from DBZ actually gets a return to this list, but he's still that character that he's either too strong to face such person, or he would just get murked by whoever faces him. He's that middle-of-the-pack character that is extremely difficult to find a really good matchup with. And of course, at the bottom of the list, I had to put the brand new fan favorite Sans from Undertale. He's that skeleton that likes to dodge everybody's attacks and control the battle as he sees fit. And how that would be used in the death battle would be very entertaining to see. Now, without further ado, this list's marquee matchup is Maka from Soul Eater versus Ruby from Ruby. And just how evenly these two characters would match up against each other, as far as both skill set with a scythe and just overall profile. Both girls in school learn to wield death-defying weapons to fight an unknown darkness enemy. Not to mention that each of them have their own superpowers, and now Ruby at the end of Volume 3 still trying to figure that one out. And Maka's natural ability with Witch Hunter, Genie Hunter, Kishin Hunter, whatever hunter she decides to pull out of her hat next. These two would be a very good matchup for each other, especially when we haven't had a duel of scythe wielders yet. And that would make this battle really special, just to have that unique description with it alone. And these two are also fan favorites in their own rights, Ruby being from the ever-popular Ruby series, and Maka from one of the more liked animes in Soul Eater. These two should make a very awesome fight, if I don't say so myself. And as always, don't forget to support Screw Attack and all of the other great Death Battle wishlist videos. Keep up the great work, guys. I love suggesting these kinds of videos or matchups for you guys. Keep up the great work. I'll keep watching. Everybody will keep watching. I can't wait to see who will duke it out next. And with that, that is my Death Battle wishlist video. Hope you enjoyed. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. Until next time.